You know, I am just so happy now. Why is that? Well, I've been getting, Geoff Barker withdrawal symptoms, and it's now sorted. He's back with me. Geoff, good evening.
Good evening, John. How are you? Thank you for the big build-up.
I'm buzzing. I am buzzing. I think I'm running on adrenaline at the moment after early this morning and fishing and straight in here for two. I'll tell you, they are working me down here. I could go to sleep now, but not while you're on. So, my man, take it away.
Right, well, let me just tell you, we've got something a little bit special coming out, which you know about, the second half of this little bit. I'm talking to a guy called Alan Wilson, who's well known to listeners of my show, about something called the Joe Meek Tea Chest tapes, which I will reveal all, or rather he will. But before we get there, 3 tracks related to anniversaries this week. Marty Robbins, one of the biggest country music stars of the 50s onwards, he would have been 95 this week. He was renowned for cowboy and western songs. But in the 50s, he did some rock and roll and sort of related stuff. For example, this was his original version of a song which was taken to number 1 in the UK by both Tommy Steele and Guy Mitchell in 1957, later recorded by Shaky and Status Quo. But here's Marty in the 95th anniversary of his birth with Singing the Blues.
Well, I never felt more like singing the blues, 'cause I never thought that I'd ever lose your love here. Why'd you do me this way? Well, I never felt more like crying all night, 'cause everything's wrong and nothing ain't right without you. You got me singing the blues. The moon and stars no longer shine. The dream is gone, I thought was mine. There's nothing left for me to do but cry over you. Well, I never felt more like running away, but why should I go? 'Cause I couldn't stay without you. You got me singing the blues. Singing the blues, 'cause I never thought that I'd ever lose your love, dear. Why'd you do me this way? Well, I never felt more like crying all night, 'cause everything's wrong and nothing ain't right without you. You got me singing the blues. The moon and stars no longer shine. The dream is gone, I thought was mine. There's nothing left for me to do but cry over you. Well, I never felt more like running away, but why should I go? 'Cause I couldn't stay without you. You got me singing the blues.
Oh, we've, for some reason, gone and lost the contact with Geoff. I'm not sure what's going on. I know he is there somewhere, and I think he's going to have to do us Geoff, go on, phone in again. I'm not sure why we lost you. I have no idea at all on that one. What will I do? Hey, Tones and I dance monkey up. I found Geoff. He's back with me. Hello, mate.
Oh, sorry about that. It wasn't anything to do with you returning. We just had a little internet dip, but it's all sorted now. Can we plod on?
Yeah, let's carry on, mate. Carry on. We're talking
right.
Ray,
Let's go on with this next one. This is the great Ray Charles, R&B, soul, jazz, gospel, country, pop legend. Would have been 90 this week. One of the most influential artists in music history. Thought I'd play this one. You don't often hear from 1956, but a much covered song down the decades from then to the present day. Here's Ray Charles and Lonely Avenue.
Now my room has got 2 windows, but the sunshine never come through. You know it's always dark and dreary since I broke off, baby, with you. I live on a I live on Lonely Avenue. Oh, yes, sir. Now you know my covers, they feel like leather, and my pillow, it feels like stone. Well, I toss and turn so every night. I'm not used to being alone. I live on a lonely avenue. My little girl wouldn't say I do, but I feel so sad and blue. You know it's all because of you. I could cry, I could cry, I could cry. Oh, 'cause I live on a lonely avenue. Yes, sir. Lonely Now I've been so sad and lonesome since you left this town. You know if I could beg or borrow the money, child, I would be highway bound. I live on a lonely avenue. My little girl wouldn't say I do, but I feel so sad and blue. You know it's all because of you. I could cry, I could cry, I could cry.
Wow. Ray Charles and Lonely Avenue would have been 90 this week. On to another legend of soul. This guy had one of the greatest voices of all time. He was born this week in 1938, and this is one of the most familiar songs, even though when it was first released in the UK in 1961, it reached a staggering 50 in the charts and was there for 1 week. 26 years, I should say, later, it was at the top of the charts thanks to a TV ad. This is the great Ben E. King and the all-time classic Stand By Me.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me.
What a song. An absolute classic song. From an album called Dance With Me, that's Benny King, and Stand By Me, born this week, 1938. It was my privilege to interview him just the year before he passed away in 2015. Right, into the final little part, which is a little bit different this week. I'm going to be talking to Alan Wilson. Now, you listen to me for any length of time, you'll know the name Alan Wilson. He's an old chum of mine. He runs a very busy specialist record label and studio in the UK near Bath. He's been a regular on my show over the years. He's a huge admirer of the recordings of legendary UK record producer Joe Meek, who was from Gloucestershire, who passed away in 1967. Alan's recently been asked to undertake a mammoth job archiving and remastering 2,000 reels of tape, which were Joe's complete life works from his London studio in the early to mid-60s. He had hits with John Layton and Mike Berry and the Honeycombs, and his big one, of course, was the Tornadoes and Telstar. Now, these tapes were in crates, tea-chest actually, hence being known as the tea-chest tapes. And they've all sort of acquired mythical status over the years. But Alan's got the job from a record company who's bought them to remaster, preserve them, and start a comprehensive release schedule. So we'll talk to Alan after a track from the Tornadoes, and here they are with Jungle Fever. Very distinctive sound of the Tornadoes and a quirky little track produced by Gloucestershire production legend Joe Meek. And that was the B-side of one of the biggest instrumental hits that ever came out of the UK, the Tornadoes' Telstar, number one in the UK, number one in America in 1962, first British band to top the American charts 2 years before the Beatles did. Now, Joe died in 1967, and since then a whole legend has grown up around his physical legacy, his recorded legacy, boxes and boxes, tea-chest actually, of his tapes, the whole lot. And now, after all this time, they are going to eventually be made public. And someone who knows all about it, because he's involved in it, is my good friend from Western Star Records and studio near Bath, Alan Wilson. It's great to talk to you again, Alan. It's been a long time. How you been doing?
Hi, Geoff. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Now, before we get into this amazing Joe Meek archive that you're involved with, how's things at Western Star? Because I know the lockdown hit you hard, like it did so many people, of course. Your work just dried up, no sessions. You couldn't get out to weekenders. They were all cancelled, and festivals and all gigs and stuff to sell your merchandise. So how's it looking now?
It's been an odd year because, we've had to cancel. I think I cancelled 9 album sessions in total over lockdown. We're working again now. We're doing sessions again now. Again, like you say, all the weekenders were cancelled, so we didn't get out and about. But the saving grace was that the mail order side of things went crazy. And that was across the board for everyone, not just for Western Star. I think everyone experienced that. So we were lucky in that respect, yeah.
And of course, there was no Rockin' Roundup, which we were all looking forward to back in, beginning of June.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully we'll be okay for next year. If we do go ahead for next year, if we're allowed, if things are back to normal, we've extended it to a 3-day event.
Oh, fingers crossed we do. Right, now we were talking about Joe Meek, the legendary T-chest tapes with all of Joe Meek's tapes. Tell us the story, how it came about and how you have now been given the job, and it couldn't be anybody better, to go through them and clean them up and make them available to the public.
It's quite a long story, but I'll try and trim it down a bit. So when Joe Meek died, sadly he was insolvent because there was a big legal case going on over Telstar, which after he died it was proven in his favour. So, I really wish that he could have actually seen all the royalties from that when he was alive. So when he died, they sent in like a liquidator, like the receiver, and they took all his assets and sold them all to pay any debts. And his equipment was all sold off, and a guy called Cliff Cooper decided he wanted to buy the equipment. So he went to the solicitor involved, tried to buy the equipment, but he got there too late. So it all gone. All that was left was a mountain of tea chests full of these tapes, which actually represented Joe's life's work, nearly 2,000 tapes. Cliff himself was an aspiring studio engineer, so he decided to buy those tapes, and I think he paid £300 for them, which was, in them days, quite a bit of money, I guess. And he decided he was going to go home and listen to them and try and study them and try and learn some of Joe Meek's recording techniques. Somewhere along the line over the years, as he's going through these tapes, he's finding Tom Jones and other people that went on to be very, very famous. So he decided then to put these tapes in a safe place, keep them dry, keep them temperature controlled. And he actually sat on those tapes for 53 years, resisted offers from Universal and Warner and all these other huge corporations. And it's taken him all that time to find a label that he trusts to do a good job. And this deal has actually taken 6 years to go through. And Cherry Red, who I truly believe are the best label for this, Cherry Red have just bought those tapes. And they've given me the job of the technical side of it.
That is incredible. It's a dream come true for you, and you couldn't be anybody better. Now, 2,000 tapes, you're going to go through them all, listen to them, and are you going to sort of remaster them, or what are you going to do?
That's the plan. What Cherry Red have said is they're going to give me 18 months to actually do what we call in the trade flat transfers, because we don't really know 100% what's on all these tapes. Often with tapes, especially old tapes, what's written on the box is sometimes not what's actually on the tape. So I'm working my way through those tapes and transferring them all to digital, which is a stable format, whereas tape is kind of quite unstable. Once we have that pile of tracks, then we're going to go through everything and decide, or Cherry Red will decide, what they're going to release, what they're going to do with it all, how they're going to package it, how they're going to market it, and so on. And then they will give it back to me then to remaster and restore.
Amazing. Because you mentioned Tom Jones, one of the people that was known Joe produced before he became, huge. There were other people as well that Joe sort of passed through Joe's studio in those days. So some of their recordings may be on there in these boxes. Mark Bolan was one name mentioned.
Yeah, Mark Bolan. David Bowie, Ray Davis. David Bowie's early band, his first ever recordings, he was in a band called the Conrads, spelt with a K. Early Status Quo, when they were called the Palominos. All sorts of people that went on to be huge names. Early this week I did 9 Tom Jones tapes. I mean, it's unmistakably Tom Jones. But what I really love about these tapes is you can hear a little bit of talking in between the takes. So, you can hear, sometimes you can hear Tom Jones confirming that, yes, he's ready to go and stuff like that, which is amazing.
Well, it'd be a dream for you because obviously you'll hear Joe talking and you'll be able to listen and analyse how he's done all these things. It's just absolutely incredible.
It's a massive chunk of rock and roll history. My phone has not stopped ringing for 2 weeks, and I've done interviews with Mojo magazine, various different BBC stations, and we've had 2 or 3 different TV companies want to do documentaries about this pile of tapes. It's really very big news in the music world.
I should say, if anyone goes on your Facebook page, there's a picture of you in wherever it is, some huge warehouse and you're holding one of the tapes. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's 2.5 tons of tape, Geoff, can you believe? I never really thought I'd ever hear these tapes in my lifetime. I've been aware of them for the last sort of 30-odd years.
I remember my old buddy Dave Such, Screaming Lord Such, telling me about these years ago, and he was always interested in maybe buying them, and they then achieved mythical status. So you got Well, did they really exist? Were they around? Had they been destroyed? And of course, we're glad to hear they haven't. So you're starting work on it now. You started work on it, and it's going to progress. I suppose when Cherry Red think they've got enough for like a first double CD or whatever, then they'll release them.
They're going to do it properly, Geoff. They're going to wait 18 months until I finish transferring the very last tape. Because imagine if they released the definitive Mike Berry collection. You know, if they got me to pull out all the Mike Berry tapes and transfer those, and then when I get to the very end of the transfers, I could pull out a tape which might say Joe Bloggs on the cover, and when I play it, it could be Mike Berry. And we could suddenly say, oh, hang on a minute, we found some more tracks. So what they're going to do is they're going to wait the full 18 months, and then they're going to review everything we've got, and then they're going to start to put together collections and decide how they're going to market that.
Well, this is amazing news for rock and roll fans, pop fans, Joe Meek production fans, the whole lot. And it couldn't have, the job to do this couldn't have gone to anybody better. Alan, it's great to talk to you as always. I know it's been a long time. I just want to end with a wonderful production that you did on one of Joe's artists, John Layton. Voodoo Woman. I know you made some wonderful recordings with him, and to me, it's the nearest anyone has ever got to that classic Joe Meek sound.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun to do. I always loved working with John Layton, and that's my house band drummer, Ben Turner, on the drums.
And a mention for the wonderful woman with the high voice.
You're talking about Liz Avent.
Liz Avent.
Especially at the moment, she's actually not well, and we all wish her well.
Oh, absolutely. This pops up on the CD, Remembering the Beat of Joe Meek, which you put out on Western Star not that long ago, which is your productions with new artists doing tracks that Joe originally recorded. And I think he'd love them. And, we just can't wait to hear. I certainly can't. Anyway, some of these, the legendary T-Chest tapes. Thanks for coming on and telling us about it, Alan.
That's a pleasure. Thanks, Geoff.
If I'm in heaven or in hell, voodoo woman, you got me under your spell. Your kisses of fire, they thrill me so. I guess I'll never wanna go. Like a fly caught in a web, that's me. Wondering if you'll ever set me free. I guess that only time will tell if I'm in heaven or in hell. Voodoo woman, you got me under your spell.
John Layton, Voodoo Woman, produced by Alan Wilson at his studio in Bath just a few years back, originally produced by Joe Meek for an album John had out in 1961. And, what about that, John? All those tapes in that T-chest. It's going to be amazing to see what's on there, eh?
That's got to be equivalent to finding the Titanic. It's got to be.
Musically, it could be,
yeah,
yes.
It's true,
incredible.
it's true. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do. Has he got a goal set when it's going to be ready?
Well, they've allowing him, they think, about 18 months before he's finished and gone through the whole lot. He's started already, so, and he's a very astute, hard-working guy, Alan, so I know he'll get on with it, and he'll do a great job.
What a find, what a find. Geoff, more like that, please. That was just a great listen, it really was.
My pleasure. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And you have a good week. Take care of yourself and keep fishing.
We'll talk next week, my friends.
This is Radio Such on 197 metres, the greatest of the radio station on the airwaves, and Britain's first teenage radio station, of course, for anybody young at heart. Now, all you Buddy Holly fans, I've just been reading through the records, and well, people have been saying we don't play enough of Buddy Holly. Well, I'm really going to give you your value for money now, because I'm going to play you a few tracks from Buddy Holly Showcase LP. The first track is Shake, Rattle and Roll.